Welcome back to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services, a leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at DonahueAccountingService.com. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former Bearcat basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the Hall of Fame coach, my guy, Bob Huggins.
And I'm Neil Meyer with the Front Office News.
And I'm JT Smith, editor-in-chief of the Front Office News.
All right, fellas, we are back for another episode. Let's jump right into it. And our format's going to be a little bit different today because it calls for a lot of stuff going on in the stratosphere of college basketball and the portal. So the Bearcats finished the season 19 and wait a minute, what was their record? 19 and
I believe 16.
19 and 16. Thank you, Neil. I had it wrong in my notes here. 19 and 16 and lost to UCF in the Crown. JT, thoughts on the Bearcat season?
Thoughts on the season, man. So many thoughts. So many, but I only can choose one.
Where do we start?
Nah, man, I'll say three-point shooting, which was their Achilles heel. I feel like that they spread the ball out, and they couldn't make a lot of shots. And they shot a lot of threes, and they didn't shoot it. They're like, sometimes they're like, shoot or shoot, but you didn't shoot too hot. And SEMA started off like freaking, I don't even know. Let's see who's he started off like Cal Korver Jr., in the non-conference, and then in conference play, he was like Walker Kessler. I don't know. It was a big drop off, but it just wasn't. He wasn't the same. He couldn't miss in non-conference, and then in conference he couldn't buy a bucket. So that hurt a lot. And Jizzle. His strong point is mid range and to the bucket. He did have some solid points from shooting the three, but he didn't shoot it great. They shot it pretty decent though from three, but I think he shot less. I think this year he took better shots from the three, but overall, man, as a team, as an organization, we did not shoot the three ball very well, and that was one of the telling parts of the season for me.
That's one thing in college basketball, JT, you got to do now. You got to shoot the three well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I don't know how many threes were shot in the national championship game, but
I think that both teams went a combined 0 for 12 to start last night, if I remember right, from three.
Yeah, didn't shoot it well.
Yeah.
You got to shoot it well, if you plan to be successful.
Speaking of that, too, Meach, of shooting the three ball well in the national championship, what did you think of Calvin Sampson's tweet or quote, the iconic quote when he was asked about that? Did you hear it?
What did he say?
They asked him, they said, well, what do you got to do better here to close out the first half? He said, well, we got to knock down some threes. Both teams are combined 0 for 12 right now. He goes, there's a little bit of nerves, but it's the national championship. There's going to be some nerves. I mean, it's not like we're playing Sasquatch State in the middle of January.
Oh, yeah, I did hear him. I did hear him say that. Was pretty funny because at first I said, wait a minute, is that a real school? Had it click like, oh, he's being funny. Yeah, that was pretty good. We should print up some shirts that says Sasquatch.
Dude, Calvin Sampson could have a whole dictionary of funny quotes that he has said throughout his coaching career, and that would probably be at the top of it.
Yeah, he's pretty funny guy. He says some good stuff, quick-witted in the moment. JT, thoughts on the non-conference schedule or results versus the conference schedule results?
Man, so non-conference was great. Beat Xavier, beat Dayton, Georgia Tech on the road.
Don't forget, beat Ohio State at the beginning.
Ohio State, yeah, in the before the season scrimmage, smoked Ohio State. Gave the fans a lot of hope. And then that damn January happened.
Damn.
She started off 2 for 8, man. Two out of 10, two wins, 8 losses in the Big 12. Not a recipe for success. finished 7-13 in the conference, and the season ends how it ends, man. It was it was definitely a roller coaster ride, and you got at the cliff. Start off the season, you up there, a top 20 team, 25 team, and then you just each game just lose that prestige, lose that swag, and did not end well at all.
Well, at one point, one of the things I will remember about this year's podcast is how I think it was about little after conference play started, you started comparing UC's performance to personal hygiene.
Yeah, for sure.
And how would you say they ended the season on your personal hygiene breakdown?
Woo, the end of the season, funky. Like they the person in the class that you don't want to sit next to. You know what I mean? You go to everybody got that kid, that person that be around. They want to ask you questions and stuff, and they smell. That was UC. Not getting the girls. If you're a girl, you're not getting the boys. You know what I mean? However you look at it. For our female listeners, we will switch it up for you. But not attractive. We're around. Nobody notices us. They smell us, but nobody wants to be around us. So it's like, like, is that person like, oh, you went to school with me? Like, hey, all right. That was UC at the end of the season. The person that you're like, people are trying to throw screens from, trying to throw smoke bombs to get away from. Smelly, no haircut, hygiene's terrible, holes in clothes, taking showers, no soap or very minimal soap, not using it correctly. You know what I mean? That's why we finish the season. You finish the season 19-16. You don't go to the big dance. You don't smell good. You don't have designer clothes. You got Temu gear.
Not the Temu gear.
Got Temu gear, man. So that's where we at, man. That's how he finished the season. I wish I didn't have to make this harsh of a comparison of how they their hygiene is right now, but hygiene is rough right now, man. You need that need some what's a good spray that people spray for? Need Febreze when they come around, the Febreze, stuff, So yeah.
Is it Old Spice body spray? Is that the new thing there?
Yeah, but I don't know if we're doing Old Spice, man.
I don't know. I think if you're going to give them a comparison, it was probably like the Axe level where you spray it and everybody run the other way.
I don't even know if it's Axe level, man. People are like, this is all right, story time. JT and I used to work at a certain bank. I won't name it because in Covington, used to be this old guy named Gerald. Had the best stories in the world. But the caveat, Gerald smelled very bad. Right? So Gerald will tell you these great stories that have you laughing if you can stomach the smell. That was UC. You know what I'm saying? Because UC has the rich history. You want to be around UC. But
they stank.
It stank right now. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, JT, you saved your best for last. That was your best hygiene take of the year. You saved the best for last.
Hey, we gotta go out on top, man.
What's my guy's name at the bank? Gerald?
Gerald, man. Gerald. I wonder if Gerald's still
on the pod to tell some stories. That way we can't smell him on the pod. So
we could, but I don't know. Like another caveat about Gerald. Gerald was homeless.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
Nice, like real nice dude. I just smelled like I guess he used to be like in the shelters and stuff. But he got like Social Security or something. Yeah.
Gerald probably won't be on the pod.
Yeah, probably won't, man. He might not have like Wi-Fi and stuff, man. But you know what I mean? Sorry, guys. I'm not being insensitive. It's real.
Hey, look, we got
I'm just saying.
Terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Gerald might
smell,
not be able
man. Gerald smell.
He might not.
JT, you gotta clown him for smelling bad and not having Wi-Fi. It's crazy.
Hey, he smelled bad, man.
Hey, Neil. thoughts on the season. We go get away from JT. Neil, thoughts on the Bearcat season. We're done with JT.
Overall, I mean, we came
Can't
into
quit me. No, but
we came into the season, right, with all these expectations. I know we've all talked about the potential this team had, a second weekend tournament, NCAA tournament team. That did not go as planned. And the reason I think that happened was I think the injury bug struck Cincinnati harder than many other teams in the Big 12 conference, right? You look down, Dan Skillings goes down with the knee injury after the first game of the season. Well, let's back it up one more. Let's go. Tyler McKinley goes down with the first injury. He's out for the season in the first practice of the year, right? That was a bigger loss for Cincinnati than many anticipated it being. Despite McKinley being a freshman, I think that injury had the biggest outcome to it, in a sense, right? Because Cincinnati lacked front court players outside of Aziz Bandaogo. Arrington Page didn't live up to the expectations that many thought he would. Aziz Bandaogo then had to play close to 30 minutes a game. Overall, McKinley's injury had the biggest outcome because McKinley was going to come in and contribute quality minutes. Like, I would say maybe 12 to 18 minutes a game kind of impact on this team. That's what Cincinnati missed, was a big-time front court player who could go turn his back, get to the basket, post player, but one who could also step out and knock down some threes as a big stretch four. I think his injury held the biggest impact. And then you fast forward to first week of November, Dan Skillings tears a meniscus, a slight meniscus operation. He's then out for nearly, a little over a month, and was never able to kind of get back to his old self per se. And I know that probably messed with a lot of his confidence on top of performance, trying to find his way back to the court maybe sooner than anticipated, or overcoming that mental roadblock from an injury as well. I think Dan Skillings was never able to really find himself back into what he was back in 2023, 2024, which was Cincinnati's leading scorer, right? I mean, in the first game of the season, he had 17 points and I believe 12 rebounds versus Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then the injury happened. So those two injuries happen. Connor Hickman goes down with the foot injury that keeps him out for majority of the season. Didn't play really at all in Big 12 play. So that injury also kind of took a role because Cincinnati at times needed a third ball carrier. And I know we've talked about it on other podcasts. The Cincinnati desperately lacked a third ball carrier, right? If Jizzle James or Day Thomas got into foul trouble, who was going to be that guy to step up? And that's where they missed Connor Hickman. He was also going to have a huge role for this team. And honestly,
hold on, Neil. You caught him a ball carrier.
Yeah, isn't that a running back?
You caught him.
You got him a butt, and we got to pause that too.
You got to pause that.
You got
pause.
You wanted Connor to catch get a sleep. Tackle.
Connor Hickman was going to, his impact would have been.
I had to stop you.
I heard it twice, and I was going to bring it back. But JT, I'm glad you. So go ahead and pause it, Neil.
I said pause. Said pause. Realistically speaking, Connor Hickman played a huge role in Cincinnati's win over Xavier, and if he was able to stay healthy throughout the Big 12 play, I think this team could have made some noise in Big 12 play. But overall, the injuries just kind of derailed for Cincinnati and was fully never to really kind of experience what pen to paper would have been for this team heading into this season.
You've got about CJ Frederick.
Yeah, CJ also dealt with injuries as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also another big time kind of injury to note, right? CJ Frederick, who's battled injuries throughout his whole career, goes down, missing some time again this year. Overall, it was just the injury bug continued to hit Cincinnati at the worst times, it felt like.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is the Bearcat Game Recap segment sponsored by Purple Monkey Project. You know, one thing that, looking at this season, the first practice I went to at the beginning of the season, I left there and I actually asked Terry Nelson this question: who is the leader, specifically the vocal leader of this basketball team? I left that practice not knowing. Terry Nelson didn't have an answer. And I think, in my opinion, that was one thing that struck me as the season, as you start to have some ups and downs in your season, you've got to have a vocal leader, a strong vocal leader to kind of say, hey, we're doing great right now, but don't get too excited about what we're doing. We still got a lot of work to be, a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to be done. And then when you hit those lows, you lose your first 4 conference games. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Right. That's when your vocal leader goes, we're good. It's a long season. We've got, was there 20 total conference games?
Yep.
Yeah.
This year? And they're reducing that next year, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Back to 18.
Back to 18.
Okay, back to 18. So, and throughout the season, I don't think I ever did see or was clearly defined who that vocal leader was. So you think about Jizzle, and Jizzle's, listen, he works his ass off, right? He's that guy that leads by example. He's in the gym late at night, but he's not really that vocal leader, that vocal person. Dylan Mitchell is not a vocal guy. I think Dan is vocal, but it's not vocal leadership, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that hurt them in some ways. I think there were a lot of deficiencies other than that. And some I want to throw at you guys too. I felt like pace of play really impacted them quite a bit. So going into the season, I could see Wes Miller and the staff going, okay, we've got Jizzle back, Dan back, Seamoss, Aziz, Day-Day. We've got the majority of the guys back from last year. We could run some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we could run some great sets. I think that was the mindset. However, you get out of conference play where, listen, I think in conference play, you're not scouted to the level you are in conference.
True.
Man, they know when you get off the bus, this is how this guy walks to the gym. They know everything about your team. So I think when you get to the conference play, they can take away a lot of those sets. And on top of that, I don't know this basketball team is whatever cerebral enough to run like the kind of sets that maybe Wes and the staff had envisioned. So playing at a faster pace. And my thought is, if they would have played at a fast pace from Ohio State all the way to the end, knowing, and JT, you know this, when you play at a fast pace, you're going to take some bad shots.
Yep.
You're going to have some bad turnovers,
Yep.
i.e. Florida. Florida plays, oh, man, they get that ball out of the net. They don't even have time to think about how they just got scored on.
Yep.
You see how fast that ball's coming out of that net? Pause.
Yeah.
When they get out.
They pause. I was going to pause you too.
Yep. So my pace of pause was quick. So that was the other thing. I thought pace of the play was too slow majority of the season. JT?
Yeah, it allowed teams to, I mean, they already knew what they wanted to take away. Like, they wanted to run CMOS soft threes after non-conference play, right? Then the pick and roll, they would string it out. But it allowed the teams to pack the defense in because they allowed them to set. Like, if you play fast, you get more shots for one. For two, if somebody gets hot, then now you get more shots, you got more chance for more people to get hot, So, you get more chance to make mistakes too. I mean, because you're getting it right back. Mess up, all right, cool. Getting it right back. Less time to sulk on a mistake you might have just made too. So, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And the other thing too, Neil, you can chime in on this. I think I know we're going to talk about next year shortly, but even for this season, what a lot of us thought was a strength, and that was the depth of this team. I almost wonder if the depth was detrimental in some ways. And if moving forward, we should be like, you know what? We got 8 dogs, and we're going to go with these 8.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Meach, right? You look down at what this roster was, you thought on paper heading into the 2024-25 season that Cincinnati had the depth on paper. But in reality, when the season came, they rolled out what was arguably a 7 to 8 man rotation, maybe 9 at times. But you saw those depth pieces, minutes significantly decrease as the season went on, right? Tyler Betsy's minutes got decreased. AP's minutes got decreased. CJ Frederick wasn't there at all, really, towards the end of the season while he battled the injury. There was a lot of things that Cincinnati had to rely on, and that was the key veteran pieces they had. They made the switch to Josh Reed as a starter and then put Seamoss and Dan on the bench, but overall, the depth was just not there for Cincinnati this year.
And JT, think about this. Beginning of the season, Ray Vaughn doesn't really see the floor. Josh Reed sees very minimal minutes. And then you get later in the season, Josh is starting.
Yeah.
Then you get to the Crown and a couple other games, and Ray plays good minutes and I think gives you quality minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Ray, I thought his stats aren't going to jump off the paper, of course, because I think the amount of minutes, but I thought he played impactful minutes, like his hustle, crashing the boards. Seemed like he tried to use his effort. Even had a couple of bright spots on offense. But even against UCF the last game, it was like a couple minute period where he had like 3 offensive rebounds, just missing shots, getting the rebound. Somebody missed, he's there, getting to the foul line, slowing it down for a team can calm down. But he went from like not playing at all to playing major minutes at the end. So that was interesting. And then Josh Reed started 9 games. At the end of the season, he went from barely being in a rotation or playing like a couple of minutes, playing the garbage minutes almost, to being a key clog in the Bearcats trying to make a run for the tournament.
And my thought with Ray all along was Tyler Betsy's was kind of the high. I don't know if he was a higher recruit. I don't know what the numbers were or the
Betsy
star.
was one of the highest rated recruits in UC history.
Who was?
Betsy.
So Betsy came in with a lot of glitz and glamour, and so did Ray. But
yeah,
I felt like Ray would have given you more than Tyler gave you, because if Betsy wasn't knocking down threes, what did he give us?
Yeah, true.
But at least with Ray, you're gonna get effort and energy.
Yep.
Right. He's gonna work his ass off to get a rebound. He's gonna try to guard.
Yep.
All that stuff that's like Bearcat DNA.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So I'm like after a while with Betsy, I mean, I get it with Betsy. I get the side. He could shoot the basketball, but after a while, I was like, man, it's like he's just like in slow motion.
Yeah, for sure. It was. I expected more from him in general. Yep. And I tried to I think everybody did. But like once it didn't happen, I think maybe Ray should have got a little bit more of a shot. I just think his effort, that's what this team lacked, like that fire and desire per se. No Tina Marie in fire. But Neil probably doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah. But anyway, but yeah, they need that energy, man. You know what I'm saying? I think that was a slight miss, just because sometimes it's not about I think his energy would get you 6 points, if he plays 10 to 15 minutes personally. And if he catches the flow, that's even better. But I just thought they might have needed that a little bit on the court, man.
Speaking of fire, you are on fire tonight, JT.
Hey, flamethrower, man. Maybe it's just fast and stuff, man. Thinking clear.
You're fasting right now.
Yeah, I am. My body is like.
It's got you thinking. It's got your brains.
I know, because I'm like, I want popcorn and chips, and my body's.
It's like, your mind's free of French fries.
Or he wants another magical drink for what's in his cup. Can't forget that this season.
But you got water. He's on
water, bro. Finishing with water, man. Fasting. until 10 a.m. I'm not eating until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Only can drink water.
I'm proud of you, JT. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Man. Appreciate it.
Keep that up.
Appreciate it. I'm trying to do during the weekend. I'm gonna be trash, but I'm try to counterbalance it, man. I can't be perfect. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
and Neil, we didn't see you this weekend, but JT and I ran to each other at the Bearcat Classic AAU tournament up at Spooky Nook.
Yep.
Yeah, I was not there this weekend. I was taking some time off after a busy coaching week, enjoying the day out with the homies.
That could be dangerous for you.
Yep.
We've noted that before that you.
Hey, I'm here for the podcast. I didn't end up missing.
Well, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure.
You had time to reappear.
Yeah.
It was Saturday, man. What's that message? I ain't gonna be there. You don't know where Neil's missing.
Yeah.
Hey, JT, Spooky Nook will charge you for everything. Hey, if you take more than 5 breaths in the facility, they charge you like a nickel for every.
Hey, Spooky Nook, they getting that paper out you, boy. Cause then they not playing. You paying the park. They said you could buy shoes in there. It's now.
It's like Cracker Barrel. The front part of Cracker.
You can buy shoes. They got a concession stand. They got concession stand.
They charging you every time you walk to the bathroom.
Hey, it might be, man. I'm telling you.
JT, I said this to you there. Did you see one water fountain in that place?
Probably not.
Hell no.
There was no water fountain. Is that legal?
That's crazy. Legal? I never even noticed that.
There was not one water fountain in that. And I had 25 teams playing. I was on every court at one point. There was not one single water fountain. You had to buy water.
You had to spend $4 or $3.25, whatever it was for a drink. That's crazy. Hey, they got a monopoly in there. I ain't mad at it, but man, they get you. They got you shaking you out like my man Bird on 5 Heartbeats. How the Mr. Mr. Red did him. My office hours are from. They shake you down in there, boy.
Neil, do you even know?
I do.
What?
Yeah, I've heard that one a couple of times.
Have you seen 5 Heartbeats?
I haven't seen it. I've seen like clips of it, but I haven't seen the full movie.
They shaking you down. They're Spooky Nook, boy. They ain't playing, boy. They ain't playing.
It's like the
funny part. Hold on.
Hey, close the door. We gotta get to 40,000.
Oh yeah, lock the door.
Have a good.
They say, hey, lock the door.
Hey, lock the doors. Ain't nobody leaves until we get to 40,000.
In the coaches. Y'all.
Coaches and players, y'all ain't leaving until
y'all ain't leaving. The coaches, y'all up here with us. So y'all all 100. Nah, but no. Hey, it's crazy. But the funniest part is when I was leaving on Sunday, and I was like, all right, Meach, man, I see you, but whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to go check this. I'm about to go check out one of the games. And he pulled out like a notepad, like he was about to get ready to do our podcast. That shit had me crying because he got so many teams.
You know what? You know what?
Like,
show it, Meach.
Hold up. Here it is.
It was so many teams.
It's on my desk. These are all this was my schedule for Saturday. Over 25 teams playing 2 games each. So that's 50 games.
Yeah, it was Saturday.
It was Saturday. I put so JT goes, all right, Meach, I gotta leave. I'll see you later. And he's like, I was like, yeah, I got a game too. Let me see what court it is. And I pull out my paper and JT lost it. He's like, you about to do a podcast?
So you about to do a podcast last and Splot and Spooky Nook. That shit had me weak. He put out that paper. I was like, I feel you though. You had to do it.
Hey, I can't. And you know the crazy thing is too, I've got a lot of stuff on my phone, but I always keep it on paper when I go to these facilities because, one, you never know, will your phone have reception? Will it work? Like, I've been to gyms before and my phone acts up. I can't get the app to work.
Yeah.
Some people were having trouble with the app in there.
Yeah, I heard.
Not me.
Not me, Sabo.
You said not me.
Hey, you gotta be smart. Gotta be smart.
I had the script. I was ready to read.
You had the script. Did you have the scripts for Monday night's national championship then?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Ooh, shit.
He said, I can't touch it.
Yep. This is the Bearcat game recap segment sponsored by Purple Monkey Project. The Purple Monkey Project was formed following the tragic loss of 10-year-old Reagan Vanasse in May of 2021. Reagan was a ray of sunshine who lit up every room. The Purple Monkey Project was named after Reagan's favorite stuffed animal and seeks to keep Reagan's spirit alive by being a ray of light in the community and promoting random acts of kindness. By providing scholarships and other financial support of youth and youth-centered charities in Southwest Ohio, the Purple Monkey Project seeks to pay it forward, all in the name of Reagan. To learn more about the Purple Monkey Project, please visit purplemonkeyproject.org or visit them on Facebook at Purple Monkey Project. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Let's jump into the big O segment sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. In this segment, we normally cover players to watch. In this case, for this episode, we're going to cover players that have entered the portal for the Bearcats and get your thoughts. Neil, let's start with you. Why don't you list off which Bearcats are in the portal as of today?
Yeah, so as of today, Tyler Betsy's in the transfer portal. Dylan Mitchell's in the transfer portal. Josh Reed's in the transfer portal. Dan Skillings is in the transfer portal. JJ Rembert, walk-on point guard's in the transfer portal. Arrington Page is in the transfer portal. It's been a busy few hours, and I don't know if I'm missing anybody. Rayvon Griffith in the transfer portal. So there's 7 guys right there in the transfer portal for Cincinnati.
JT, why don't you discuss some of these guys? Why don't you take on JJ, Ray, Dan, and AP?
All right, cool. So the biggest name on the page, biggest name that I have, I would say Dan Skillings, just because he's been, a person that's played a lot in the last 3 years, a guy that had NBA, has NBA potential, but the guy that, during at the end of his sophomore season said, hey, I'm coming back 1 year, I'm going to the NBA. Did not work out that way. The injury didn't help, but he did not have the year that most Bearcat fans expected. Probably he didn't expect, so that's one, where you kind of saw maybe the writing on the wall because it didn't go how he planned, and it makes sense. So that's one that he's one that people are kind of like, the fans are kind of like just throwing a lot of dirt on him, but he's one of those guys that he could probably go somewhere and blow up. You know what I mean?
Look at the offers that he has gotten since going into the portal. I think everybody who has followed us has kind of seen it. There was reports of Florida reaching out, Bama reaching out, Baylor reaching out, Gonzaga reaching out, LSU reaching out. Like Dan's going to have probably 25, 30 different options of where he wants to go in the transfer portal.
Yeah, he'll have options. It's just going to be interesting. It's going to be, I think he's very boom. It's going to be very boom or bust, I think, for him. It's either going to be real, because I've always been high on Dan. I will, to bite that bullet. I've always thought he has the potential. If his mind is right and he does his thing, he works on a couple of small things, I think he can be very good, where he's back on the same level because he's young at basketball, essentially.
And JT, you know how this goes, man. He had a tough season with us. He's going to get in the portal. He's going to go somewhere and he's going to cook.
Yeah.
Just be like,
he's going to cook.
We saw it firsthand this year with Vic. We saw it firsthand with Victor Locken. Right? Struggled last season, obviously. And part of it, too, I think it's worth mentioning that obviously these are still young adults. Like, they see the stuff that gets said on social media, right? I think that played a role into it. I know Dan took a lot of heat from Bearcats fans on social media over something, he's not playing well. I mean, everybody has bad games, but I think that starts to add up and definitely can impact a young individual. And that I wouldn't say for certain if that was the case here, but definitely probably played a role and said, okay, maybe I do need a fresh new start after things transpired this year, right? But overall, I think Dan is going to be a huge impact player wherever he lands.
I think some Bearcat fans turned on Dan when he had some poor games and he was posting pictures with him and his girlfriend at dinner, and it seemed like his focus was elsewhere rather than the place that's paying him a lot of money to perform. I think that's where a lot of disconnect happened.
Yeah, just yeah, I can see that for sure. But I feel like he could be either like I said, he could ball out, or he could be kind of hopefully he doesn't go AJ Store. But you know what I mean? Like he's one of those guys I feel like he either be real good, or it could like if he goes to the wrong situation where it's they might get the biggest bag, but they're not like hey, if you do good, like if it's a pecking order and he's not a part of the pecking order, it can be one of those ones that can be interesting. You know what I mean? If you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
And I think too, JT, a good name in reference was a guy you just mentioned in AJ Store, who has been at now 3 different colleges the last 3 years. He has demanded high amounts of money in terms of NIL valuation, and it's not even about fit at this rate, right? He went from St. John's to Wisconsin to Kansas. He got $1.2 million from Kansas this past season. And heck, I don't know if you guys saw the interview. Like Hunter Dickinson came out and said he even gave up 6 figures of his NIL money so Kansas could land AJ Store, and he didn't even produce out there. Came off the bench, averaged 4 points a game, and he was just chasing the bag. This is a kid who's been at a different school every year for the last 8 years, dating back to high school. He was at a different high school every year of his high school career. He's doing the same in college. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the college landscape, right? I don't think that's going to be the situation for Dan, but overall, there is people out there who are taking that route. Okay, this school offered me more money, I'm going to go to them, right? No matter the role, no matter the fit, I'm just bag chasing.
Yeah. But and JT, I want you to help clarify this. So with Rayvon, he got into the portal with the option to come back.
Yes.
Correct. So Ray and
Tyler Betsy had that same.
No, I think Reed was the only two, right? Just Reed and
Betsy was also in there as well.
Yeah, Betsy was in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. I thought it was just Reed and Ray. So JT, what are your thoughts on on Ray?
On Ray, yeah. I was going to my next person. Yeah, he was a guy I want. I mean, just him being a local guy, being somebody that you've seen grow up, in this area. Yeah, it was one of those things where I thought he flashed a little bit at the end of the season to me. I know people can nitpick his game if you want, that's fine. But his energy, like we talked about earlier, I think it just sometimes you just need somebody like that. Like it doesn't have to be the most skilled person out there or whatnot, or have the most, the best bag, but somebody that can go out there and just get it done. Sometimes that's all that matters, that will and determination. But it was one of those ones after he played a little bit, I was like hoping he would stay. But at the same time, he got to do what's best for him. And, the team has to do what's best for itself too. You can't right now, when you don't make the tournament and, while you're here, this is a basketball school, that happened. It's the promises part you can't really make right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, hey, this is what can happen. This is, what can happen. I think what Ray had to do was best for him right now, which is, I think that the transfer move probably the best move for him probably.
Do you see him coming back?
It depends on how long. Depends on what he has on the plate. I think like once he goes out there and tests his market, I know he has good handlers or people, not handlers, but good agents on his team. People that are going to keep it real with him. I think it just depends on the gauge. I think somebody will take a chance on Rayvon because I just think the talent's there, the size, everything you need, the will. I think somebody will give him enough where he's like, hey, I'm not coming back.
And it's worth noting too on Rayvon's aspect, there was actually a report that came out. There is another Big 12 school interested in Rayvon. Oklahoma State offered him earlier tonight. But there was a list of schools that came out: Oklahoma State, Wichita State, Dayton, which is unique and interesting right up the road, UAB, just schools right below at the AAC level or the Power 5 level, not the Power 4, but the Power 5 level. Like, there's plenty of opportunities for Ray out there. Now it's going to be interesting to see if he comes back to Cincinnati or not.
And JT, I didn't think AP was a good fit. I thought there were high expectations, but after a while, it just, at that particular time, just wasn't a good fit. And
Yeah.
I don't know where he lands, or what are your thoughts on Page?
Yeah, I thought Page. I mean, the proof. I mean, how he started getting played at the end of the season, you kind of saw what it was, but it was. I don't know if it was a confidence thing. But I mean, he flashed a little bit early in the season, and then it just seemed like he was not as locked in at the end. When he did play. So it's one of those things where it's kind of no Aziz coming back next year. We don't know what well, man, Hal Beam. We don't know if he's going to be in the portal or not. But as of right now, he's not. But you got it. You had to improve in the paint. You got Tyler coming back. Hopefully, seems like that's as of right now he is. He's a guy with high upside. That sense that inner city toughness that you kind of need, and just wasn't in the cards for Page. I think here, so it's one of those ones. I think for him to be able to to spread his wings, he probably the portal was what he had to do.
Yeah. And JJ, I mean, obviously being a walk-on, he didn't play at all this year. We really didn't get to see what he had a chance to do, but so he's probably going to go to a school that fits him to play.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even know how JJ got to UC. Do you know what was the connection there? Was it Betsy? Was it?
I think it was Tyler Betsy.
Okay. So I figured there was like an East Coast tie there or something, right?
Yeah, figured.
Yep. Neil, thoughts on Dylan, Betsy, and Reed?
Yeah, I think the most impactful transfer portal entry was Dylan Mitchell. Obviously, due to the lack of front court players that Cincinnati had this past season, Dylan Mitchell provided a lot for Cincinnati. At times, he was the best player on the court, the most impactful player. But I don't think he was really, I wouldn't say utilized right, but if you got out to an offense where Cincinnati were to push the tempo like they anticipated, Dylan Mitchell was going to have his best nights. And I think that's what you saw flashes of this past season, right? When Cincinnati pushed the tempo, you would see double-doubles from Dylan Mitchell, which happened on, I believe, 5 different occasions this year. You saw him have the breakout performance in the Crown. That was because they were pushing the tempo. But if you had to go into a half-court offense, I didn't think Dylan Mitchell essentially fit on the offensive side of things compared to when you got out and ran a little bit. But he was going to have probably the biggest impact for Cincinnati heading into next year, right? If you were to go out, say he did elect to return alongside Dylan Mitchell or alongside of Dede Thomas, Jizzle James, whoever else it may have been, I think he was the one guy where if you were able to get him to stay, you would feel very good about what the team could do next year.
Were you surprised he got into the portal?
Honestly, no. Yes and no. I'll say that. Yes and no, because we had heard like how much he loves Cincinnati and the atmosphere and the environment. But, after year one in Cincinnati, I mean, he probably sat back and thought, hey, like as much as I do like the city and like being here, it may not have been a good fit. Who knows? But we don't know what's going through the young man's mind. But overall, I was caught off surprise a little bit to see him go in. But in the end, I mean, you can't really be surprised with how the transfer portal works in college athletics anymore.
Yep. Your thoughts on Betsy?
Yeah, Betsy is an interesting piece, right? Because we talked about it earlier about how he was one of the highest rated recruits coming into Cincinnati. He might even be the highest rated recruit coming into Cincinnati ever outside of Lance Stevenson. So overall, I think Tyler Betsy his freshman season didn't go as planned. I think everybody kind of knows that. He saw his role dwindle near the back half of the season and didn't really see much playing time over the conference slate. I think just being straight up, I think there was a lot of things that they were really hoping. Well, we talked about the 3-point shooting. Cincinnati was not able to knock down shots. Now, we have all seen Tyler Betsy come in and able to knock down some shots. I know Wes Miller had a lot of praise for Betsy heading into the season about how much of an impact player he was going to be. He said it's hard for freshmen to come in and impact the game at the Big 12 level. But there were games this year where Betsy did come in and make a big-time impact. In 12 minutes down in Orlando, February 5th, 8 points, 3-5 shooting. We saw the impacts and the glimpses of what Tyler Betsy could do. However, it just didn't pan out towards the back half of the season because you look down in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, his minute allotment went from 18 to 8 minutes versus Baylor, 5 minutes versus Houston, 8 minutes versus Kansas State. The minutes slightly decreased. He played 1 minute versus Iowa State in the Big 12 tournament, played a total of 5 minutes out in the Crown. So overall, I think that was the biggest thing, was that he was just not able to come in and provide the way he really probably anticipated for Cincinnati this year.
Now, the one guy that I was hoping would stay and come back is Josh Reed. Obviously, Josh Reed, we've talked about, he really turned it on this year, show what he's capable of. But then when you look at it from a player standpoint, Josh Reed right now as a basketball player is the hottest he's ever been. So he could get in the portal and see what the bag looks like. So, for example, I don't know what his bag was like here, right? But you perform well enough to ask for more, and maybe UC says, we don't think you're worth that right now.
Yeah.
And then, well, let me get in a portal and see if anybody thinks I'm worth that.
Yeah.
That could have been a thought process by Reed. I don't know. But I was hoping, because as you talk about, all throughout this season, you heard Bearcat fans saying, we need guys to be on this team that have that Bearcat like toughness, that DNA. And I think Reed shows that he's capable of that. Yeah. So of all the guys, I felt like he was the guy, like, man, I really wish he would stay. But I understand why he's in the portal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we saw flashes of it too, right? We had always heard, even 2 years ago when John Newman was here, we have heard how good of a defender Josh Reed was. And I mean, we saw it this year. We saw how good of a defender he was. But heading into the season, this was a guy barely cracking the rotation. And then when things started to go south, Dan Skillings goes down with the injury. Connor Hickman goes down with the injury. They were forced to kind of play him a little bit more. Seamoss struggles a little bit. He finds his way into the starting lineup. He has the month of February I don't think anybody will forget the month of February that Josh Reed just had this past season. And if you do, I don't think you're really paying attention to Bearcats basketball, because, I mean, he came out of nowhere and then he just put up, 5 straight double-digit performance. He broke a career high basically every game he played in at one point and made a huge impact. I would safe to say he kind of willed the Bearcats to a position to where they were able to fight and claw back into NCAA tournament chances at one point, right? So I definitely can see why he's in the portal. And respectfully so, right? No, new landscape of college basketball. You play well. His value's at an all-time high right now. It's definitely not surprising to see him go out there and want to test that market now to see if he wants an increased role somewhere else. Who knows? But to see him in that portal, I'm not surprised at that as well, because if I'm a player right now and I was a depth guy, I was a bench guy who came off the bench, gave 12 to 14 minutes a game, had the kind of showing that Josh Reed had, I would be testing the waters too, see if I was out there able to chop up a little bit more money in NIL, see what else was out there, kind of explore my options. Like, you have to do what's best for yourself in a situation like that.
Yep. JT, any thoughts on Dylan, Betsy, or Reed?
Yeah, yeah, man, right now, all those, especially Dylan and Reed, like you said, coming in, I didn't think Reed would be one of those guys, but that will be in the portal. But at the same time is, you can't quit while you can't quit. That's how Mace quit while you hot. That's how Mace messed up, right? You know what I'm saying? So if I'm getting, I'm just gonna throw it. Say he got 125 this year.
Wait. We got to ask Neil. Neil, do you know what he was just alluded to?
No.
Okay, thank you, JT.
All right, it's all good. We'll help him later.
Yeah,
But but yeah. So he's cooking with fish grease. So he probably got his representation. He said, "Hey, I need 50 now, more." You know what I'm saying?
JT, hold on real quick. That's a great point because here's what happens. So you've got a guy like Josh Reed, and their agent gets 20% of that.
Yeah.
So they're looking at it from a business standpoint. If Josh is getting X amount at University of Cincinnati, and you could potentially get $100,000 more, $200,000 more, and you take 20% of, you know what I'm saying?
Facts. Yeah,
that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, it's getting more bags, but the thing is, like, because the loyalty part of it, where people have to get that out there.
Yep.
The loyalty part of it, where you stick around because this institution was so good to me and everything like that. That shit is over with. So once people understand the game that is being played right now, the faster people can understand how to navigate this as a fan, as a media person, a consumer, as a coach. Once you know that, you know what you're playing with. And you have to admit it. Like if you as they say, the first step is admitting whatever problem is out there. Mm-hmm. Once you know that the problem is and you can admit it, then that's when you can attack it. That's where we're at. But you've been there 3 years, so everybody's like, "Oh, Josh Reed should stay for his 4th year or his final year," and it's like, "Dog, I got some burn. It ain't just me saying I play for UC. I got tape out there. I started 9 games. In my 9 games, I was averaging probably about 8.5 points. I'm not a vocal point. I'm not the vocal of the offense. Hey, I need, and people are like, hey, I can defend from 2 to 4, depending on the team. You know what I'm saying? So pay me. You know what I'm saying? So his agent's like, look, we can get it.
A good reason too on Josh Reed is we have known since we have talked to him in exclusive interviews. Josh Reed, actually, people don't know, he graduated a year early. He's getting his master's this year, actually in a couple of weeks from Cincinnati. So he graduated in 3 years. And college athletics, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. So the transfer portal, him getting his master's, maybe he was just looking for a new fit. There's a lot of circumstances too, though.
But again, he has the option to come back.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So if he doesn't like what he gets, he can come back. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure Wes will take him back in a heartbeat in the crew. But Dylan was the one that I thought we talked about on the pod. That's what made me start thinking about it. It was like, super talented, but it was like, he's already experienced that. I've been at Texas for a couple years. I switch over to Cincinnati. I get my bag both places. Hey, I don't really, I don't think he performed up to the level, or at least the fans really thought, maybe even the staff. One of the things I think hurt him is, Aziz can't really do nothing but catch lobs. You know what I mean? He's not like a get the ball in the back, back to the basket guy or shoot a mid-range jumper. Dylan isn't a strong jump shooter. So you got 2 non-shooters on the court. It makes and your perimeter players aren't shooting it great. It makes the defense. It gets real muddy in the paint. It gets real muddy. It gets real packed in, and beat me by shooting threes. And the team, UC really couldn't do that. So it's one of those things, like, because of the way the team was set up, it might be addition by subtraction, possibly, depending on who they get. And that sounds crazy with the talent that Dylan Mitchell has, but you see, like, your team has to be able to score multiple ways, and it depends on who they get. They can't have 2 big guys that can't shoot. I don't think you can get away with that anymore. nowadays. Let's say just have a very great back to the basket game, and nobody on the team, at least that played last year, had that.
Yep. The Big O segment is sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. Hey, the only other person I want to mention here before we get out of this segment is Halveen.
Yeah.
He's still with the Bearcats. However, I could see him being a guy that gets in the portal and goes to see what else is out there.
Yeah.
So I think he would be probably the last person that would leave. And that is there anybody else we anticipate? I think that would probably be it, right?
Yeah,
I think that would be it.
Yeah, and Halveen was a Drew Adams guy, and Drew's at IU. Put that out there.
Yep.
So, Drew Adams got him to Cincinnati, and Drew Adams is gone. So I could see him, and then there's the language barrier as well.
Yeah.
The Big O segment was sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. Do you have a business that needs better inventory control, production management, or improved accounting control? Outgrown QuickBooks or can't afford NetSuite? Give Loyal Bearcat grads Doug and Kathy Jacobs at Smart Dog Solutions a call. They've been in your position and would love to help solve your problems. They can be reached at 513-739-9473 or online at smartdog-solutions.com. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. You know what time it is, and we're going to remix this. I can't even say the Puff Daddy remix, can I? This is I can't even say it, JT. It's you get killed. It is time for the name game with Neil Meyer. Hey, hit it, Neil. JT, I noticed whenever Neil dances, you just put your head down. Are you just disappointed in his dance moves, or
I just let him try not to judge, man.
So you don't even watch because you don't want to.
I don't got the good dance moves.
We know. We see.
I try to let Neil do his thing, man.
You're a nice person, JT. You're a nice person. He says, you know what? I'm not even gonna. If I don't have anything good to say.
Yep. Try to say it at all, man.
So I'm not even gonna look. I'm not even gonna watch.
Don't look. So then I don't have any reason to say
that shit's whack. The name game with Neil Meyer is sponsored by Oakley Greens. Now, normally we take an inside look at the names of opposing teams' players and have Neil pronounce their names or attempt to pronounce their names. But for this episode, because it's a unique one, let's look at the names of the players who are coming in for the Bearcats next season and also the current players that haven't jumped into the roster from this year's Bearcat basketball team. So, Neil, again, just like last segment, if you could talk about who are the current recruits, just name them real quick, and the players from the portal that have come over.
Yeah, so the two recruits that Cincinnati have signed so far have been Sean Abayev, who was a McDonald's All-American this past season, and then Keyshawn Tillery, point guard as well. And then you flip it over to the transfer portal side, it's Sincere Harris and Kerr Carissa.
Yep. And then so far left on the roster, we have.
So far left on the roster, you have Day Thomas, Jizzle James, Connor Hickman, depending on his situation, CJ Anthony, Tyler McKinley, and Halveen Dezelet.
Okay. JT, thoughts on the recruits?
Some recruits, man. I think if Kurt Carissa can stay healthy, I think that's a very, very good get for the Bearcats. Solid shooter, and he's more of a pass first point guard. I think that's going to be good for the Bearcats because I think he's going to allow Jizzle and Day, if those guys decide to stay, which it, knock on wood, seems as of right now, seems like that's going to be the case. I think it's going to allow them to be more creative. I think Jizzle, hopefully he'll get better. I think he'll be a better playmaker next year just because he's adding to his game. But him playing off the ball is going to be great for him. I think that's going to allow his scoring to go up because with somebody like Kirk Ariza. And then Sincere Harris, the Ohio kid, guy from I think he went to
St.
LeBron.
Vincent St. Mary.
LeBron James High School.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Hey, by the way, what's up with all these LeBron songs?
It's another LeBron song.
Crazy, man.
There's just so many. There was I heard like a choir singing LeBron.
No, I ain't seen that one. You gotta send that to me. I ain't seen that one.
Yeah, it was a choir. I'll find it.
Yeah, that's funny.
And by the way, I think you sent me that dude's jump shot. What was up with that? That had me weak. I studied that for about 10 minutes. I'm like dissecting.
How? He travels honestly before he shoots it every time, keeping it in a buck because he don't put it on the floor. That's
crazy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Hey, yeah, that shot is crazy. Like I literally watched it for like 5 minutes straight. It messed me up for a minute. I was just like, what?
For sure. Everybody. Everybody. When I reposted it on my story on IG, I had people commenting like, "Wait, what?" Like, people were like, "This is crazy."
It was like I would be so mad if that person made that shot on me. If I contested defense, I probably would crash out. Like as kids would say, I would crash out. It's like just imagine you're in rotation and they kick it to that guy, Meach, and you're like. And the dude's like,
you can test it, and if he made that on me, I'm getting in the portal at halftime and leaving. I'm serious. I'm in the portal.
Oh man.
All right, I'm sorry. All right,
yeah, that's hilarious. I feel you though, 100%. I'd be like, come on, man, I would crash out for sure if he made a shot on me like that. And he's playing professional basketball somewhere. That's crazy.
That's bonkers.
It's crazy. Bonkers. They got to show him shooting it off the dribble now. They got to, man. You know how some people have different shots off the dribble than they do on a catch shot. It has to be right, huh?
He might have a normal shot off the dribble.
It has to be. Hey, what if he does that off the dribble? Is crazy. There's no way he can get that shot off. You're getting paid to play. I don't know, but that's an all-star game. I don't know, man. I got so many questions now, but Sincere Harris, man, he's a dude that was an all-defensive Big 12 player. Been at multiple schools, but that's the way in the life of college basketball right now. Been at Illinois, been at West Virginia, but he's a guy. He didn't shoot it great last year. Shot it better in Illinois, but he's a guy that is tough and somebody that I think embodies kind of what Bearcat basketball DNA has.
Yeah,
and one of those dudes. I'm like, all right, I can roll with this. He might give us some John Newman feels, but he's more of a combo guard. So I think he got a little bit more to his game, a little bit more flash, but got some John Newman in him.
And there's a lot of people saying too.
Yeah, right. That was right. Some DNA like he might be his brother, like cousin or something. How about that?
There's been a lot of comparisons to Sincere Harris, but from what we have heard, there's a lot of hype that he might be an even better defender than what John Newman was, and we all know what kind of defender John Newman was. So if he can come in and make that kind of impact for Cincinnati, I mean, tough, gritty, physical defender, could be very special for Sincere Harris this year.
We need to. I think also, fellas, for fans, for us, I think we need to not get caught up in the hype of 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. Like, can they play?
Yeah.
Like Walter Clayton for Florida. Besides the championship game, I know he didn't play great in the first half. He did some good things in the second half, but I think he was MVP of the tournament, right?
Yep.
Most outstanding player. Think about when he came out of high school. He went to Iona, no stars, and then now he ends up,
winning a natty
and being the most, most valuable player. I think not getting caught up in all these accolades prior to them getting there, but more of okay, what can they because think about this. If a John Newman was in the portal and we got him, he wouldn't have as much fanfare. But
True.
Gosh, man, John Newman is vital. We talk about him all the time. We need the next John Newman. Think about a guy like a Trey Scott, a Justin Jackson. Those guys wouldn't be big home runs in the portal.
No,
You know, if you look at like the stars and the rankings. But I'm sorry, JT, go ahead.
nah, for sure. Nah, that stuff means something. Like you gotta get some people that's gonna play tough.
Yep.
Fit what you need to fit. Just like Florida, you look at those people, and I mean, they probably got good NIL deals now, but those guys were like coming in, or when they got them, probably wasn't commanding what they're getting paid. Probably, as of yesterday or whatnot. But you find those people that fit what you want to do, got to hit on them and pause, and then they just gotta get here, play well, but you implement your system or what you want, and go from there, man. It doesn't matter if this kid was a former 5-star. It doesn't matter if he was a no-star. Get somebody that can do what you need to do to win some games, and everybody be happy.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. What about your thoughts on the recruits?
Recruits. I've heard stories about Keyshawn Tillery that make me happy. Like he's a guy that I feel like it might take him a while since he's a freshman, but I feel like he's a guy that kind of commands respect. And you need some people like that just have that. I'm not backing down in me, and I think from what I've heard, Tillery has a lot of I'm not backing down, I don't give a F, and that's what you need sometimes, man. It's not all about. You can be friends. I'm not saying on the team, but at the same time, you need when you in that foxhole, you ready to battle. You need people that's ready to battle. You don't need people that's like, oh, if something go down, when we on this court, they gonna run away. You want everybody to be in that foxhole, ready to roll, pull on that rope the same way.
Yep.
I think he has a lot of that in him. And then Sean, he's a guy, been killing all year, freaking McDowell's All-American, can't not be excited about, having a guy like that coming in. And then, I just feel like he has a chance to be one of those guys that can come in and make a super immediate impact. And hopefully he does so. And then, because if he does, I think that's going to be bode well for the Bearcats. They should be winning a lot of games, and hopefully they can insulate him where he doesn't have to be the guy, but he's a guy that can be the guy, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Where if he averages double digits and, high over 15, that'd be great. But then hopefully they have other guys that can pick up the slack, or other guys where he doesn't have the super pressure of being a man next year.
We need a guy that can score the ball at a high level.
Yes.
Like he can.
All levels.
Yep.
Get to the basket, shoot the three, mid-range, foul line. That's the thing. Like sometimes you just got to be able to get to the foul line and make the free throws too. So like if you need a guy a 3-level scorer, and I feel like he has the potential to be that. Looks like from watching him play, but playing in college level is a different level. So hopefully he can come in and hit the ground rolling. But we do need some more guys. Whoever we get, we need some 3-level scorers or some very efficient 1 or 2-level scoring guys.
Yep. Neil, your thoughts on the current guys coming back, or at least for now coming back?
Yeah.
I think for Cincinnati, if things go well, being able to retain Jizzle James and Day Thomas was huge, especially there at the point guard position, because they both have years of experience in the system that Wes Miller wants to run. But also, you still have the opportunity for Connor Hickman to come back pending the medical situation with the waiver. Now, if you were able to get all 3 back and then pair them along with Kirk Carissa, I think that's fantastic, along with Keyshawn Tillery. I think that's a very solid backcourt as well.
Neil, sorry to stop you real quick. Let me ask you this question though, and JT, you can chime in too. I don't have any inside information. This is more of an inquisitive deal. Do we really think Hickman's going to win that appeal? Because if you go and get a guy like Kerr and some of the guys, that makes me think they're thinking
it's not going to go in the way that.
Does that make sense? Do you guys feel like that?
Yeah, I'm that same way, because in the end, why would you have your 2 point guards, right? And then obviously Connor Hickman's still going through this situation. You bring in Keyshawn Tillery, that's your 3rd ball handler. Then you go out and get a veteran point guard with a lot of experience in Kirk Carissa. it would only make sense that you add a fourth point guard, essentially, if things weren't trending in the right direction, if that makes sense for Connor Hickman, right?
Yeah.
And on top of it, we all know how the NCAA works. Connor Hickman is not exclusively over that minutes restriction from the medical. I believe he's only like 29 minutes or something. But we know the NCAA is a dirty game. We know when it comes to waivers and all that, the NCAA doesn't want to give them. So reason being, I don't know. Personally, I don't see the NCAA playing out into Cincinnati's favor in this one. But you just simply never know with these kind of situations.
You can also factor in if he does get the waiver,
Then what happens?
does UC then does he get in the portal? Can he go play somewhere else?
Yeah, that's also a very solid point. Like you never know.
Yep. So we'll see with that one. The rest of the guys, Neil, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what Halveen does, right? And reason being is we have saw glimpse and pieces of him come into Cincinnati, and I think people forget too that Halveen was supposed to be a red shirt candidate, like a red shirt this year, but then they got him eligible, got him able to play, and the language barrier is hard. You're translating from the professional level overseas to college basketball. It's two different games, and so now that you've seen him get extensive minutes, I like his motor. Pause. I mean, we saw what was able to play with back in Las Vegas. I thought he provided a great spark out in the Crown tournament.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see how that plays to their favor, especially now with the depth in the front court just being himself and Tyler McKinley. It's very interesting to see what goes on there. But
I just worry about the Drew Adams piece, like Drew's on, and that's who, because there is something to say for who recruited you if they leave,
right. Especially as a foreign player as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you're not like high on a pecking order per se, like you know what I mean, where you were just like, hey, I'm the second, first, third option, wherever, that could be different. You know what I mean? Where you know. It makes me like, I don't know. Like, will they give me a shot? Or, you know, I'm sure they're having that conversation, but it's, you know, not the same, you know, when you're not like, you know, higher on the list. So,
and when you're a guy like that, you have to look at the situation too. Halveen could jump in the portal in a school like Akron, who's had a lot of success in the MAC, has made it to tournament, has won the MAC championship multiple times. They could they could look at Halveen as like, that's a huge pickup for us. We got a good bag for him, maybe even more than what Cincinnati has, because they look at him as a higher level guy. He can play a lot of minutes and have some success. So, you know, you never know. But Neil, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's where I was going to kind of end it at, was you never know what to really expect with Halveen. You know, he has the connections to Drew Adams, being the overseas player. Drew Adams did a great job at getting him here to Cincinnati. But now it's like, okay, what's going to happen now? I know him and Aziz were very close, and we saw it on senior night when Aziz walked out. Halveen and Ray walked him out together, and Aziz Bandego is actually helping him learn the playbooks, the plays, helping him understand the English kind of aspect of things, the English language. So overall, it's going to be interesting to see what he does, considering the situations that played out around him.
Yep. The name game with Neil Meyer is sponsored by Oakley Greens. The only thing I would say is like, so let's look at who we've talked about thus far. We've got Jizzle coming back, Day coming back. You add in Sean, you add in Tillery. You know, all guys that are capable. And I'm a firm believer in guard play, man. Guard play is huge. And you know, you add the portal pieces in, Kerr, Buck from West Virginia. You know, by the way, they call him Buck. You know, I don't know that we should be. I mean, obviously they got some. We're going to talk about this shortly, but they've got some work to do in the portal and get some other guys. But I mean, I think they got some solid pieces in place, and some of the, you know, guys we just talked about. So I don't know that everybody has to, jump out the window, right now with everybody getting the portal. So Oakley Greens, the ultimate spot to catch your hometown team in every big game with 6 giant LED screens and TVs at every angle. It's more than a sports bar. It's your entertainment headquarters. All the sports, all the time, all at Oakley Greens. Located in Oakley Station next to the cinemas. Check out their website, oakleygreens.com. The Kenyon segment is sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. This is where we cover the keys to the game. But for this episode, we're going to cover what are the keys for next season. JT, let's start with you.
All right, man. I feel like they have to get scoring inside and out, man. Like they couldn't throw the basketball down in the paint consistent at all, really. This year, I think they have to do so. They got to get some people that can back to the basket, get a bucket, slow the game down if need be. Still want to play at a fast pace, of course, but those threes aren't falling. You need to be able to go down, get you a 2 to answer, slow that momentum down. So you need that, and you also better outside shooting. Whoever bring it in, be able to knock out some open threes, man. Because I feel like their offense is cognitive of that. We just got to knock them down. So get some guys, preferably some guys that can shoot the 3 and drive the basket. But let's knock those threes down. That'd be great.
So, okay, JT, you are part of that coaching staff. You're in the portal. How many players? I mean, obviously, we got to wait and see what happens with a couple guys, but how many guys are you going after? How many do we need?
So how many guys with the portal? Because how many do we have right now, technically?
7.
7. So that means what? We got to get 5, right?
No. Scholarships go to 15 this year.
Yeah, they're at 15. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So that's okay. So I feel like we need to get
sitting here looking at
2 more post players. Preferably, you have a post player that is a guy that can shoot the 3 as well. One of those kind of like the guy for Texas Tech.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Wait, was that Williams?
Yeah, Williams, like a guy like that.
Ooh, he was tough against me.
I think you're thinking about Williams or Toppin, Jacob Toppin.
No, Williams.
No, Williams is who's JT.
Williams, yeah, well, Williams is in the portal too.
Is he in the portal?
Yep. Yeah, yep. Hey. He's in the portal, and he's trying to be like draft eligible too, I think.
Man, that dude, man, he was giving the Gators fits.
Man,
the Gators. They think about this too. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but the Gators probably shouldn't have even been in the championship game. You look at their road; there were so many games they could have easily lost. Man. Texas Tech was the better team. They outplayed them for 38 minutes.
Yep, they kept getting outplayed, and then they would win. I respect it.
Yeah, man.
I respect it.
Gritty.
Sometimes it's not about being better; it's about being a little lucky, man. And they had the luck
for sure. So okay, sorry. So
yep. So I'll say like a guy that can, like him, like a clone of him, of that kind of guy, would be perfect to me.
Perfect.
Also like the Omer guy. Like I'll say if they can get a guy like the dude from Baylor, that big boy for Baylor, that would be dope. But one of the 2 would suffice. But they also need some more scoring. I think just like guys that can get the ball. If the shot clock is low, be able to create for themselves or others. Like I just feel like everybody should be able to whole bunch of like if you got 3 or 4 guys that can do that at a high level, then it makes it easier for those other guys. Because I like how Texas Tech was constructed. They had a lot of guys that could score, and kind of get theirs on their own per se. And I think Bearcats need more guys that can just kind of get it on their own without really. If the plays are drawn up, people are going to take stuff away, but you need to be able to be like, all right, I have a counter to your counter, and that's me. That's my skill offensively. And we need more guys like that.
Hey, I like that Texas Tech coach. What's his name?
I forgot what dude.
I'm sorry, Neil.
Grant McCaslin.
I like him. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but
I've talked to him a couple times. He's a good guy.
I like how he holds Drew accountable.
Drew coaching tree right there.
he holds the players accountable, but he doesn't like go over that line where it's like annoying and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But so yeah, I agree with you, JT, in that I like how their team was constructed.
Yeah.
They had a good chance of making a deep run. They beat Florida, but
Yeah.
Okay, Neil. Let's look at in terms of keys for next season with style of play.
Style of play, obviously, you want to see Cincinnati push the tempo, right? But in order to do that, they need a big, physical, big man to allow them to happen. And obviously, everyone's kind of talking about that, right? You wish you would have had that this year with AP. But for me, if I'm Cincinnati, there's one name I'm pinging if I'm Wes Miller and this staff, and I'm calling right down the road to Lexington, and I'm getting Brandon Garrison on the phone. That's going to be, you want one of those big style players in the front court who has experience playing at the highest level. He started his career at Oklahoma State. Cincinnati played against him not once but twice, and then he goes on to Kentucky. Things don't play in his favor at Kentucky. He's now back in the portal potentially. There's rumors sparking he might get back in. You want a style of play like that for the front court. Somebody who's able to give you those 7 to 8 rebounds a game, can go and get you a back to the bucket, can be a high physical post player as well. JT mentioned a guy like Normad Omir. I would like to see that kind of player as well, but I think you're going to need two bigs. You're going to need one that's a pure bucket getter, a physical bucket getter. Then you're going to have one behind him that's a role guy who can go get you a couple boards when you need it. Now, you might not have the biggest offensive bag, but you're going to need your defensive guru big who can come in. And then you're going to need a wing player who can go out and score, right? Everybody knows what Sean Abayev is going to bring to the table. Not only that, but you're going to have someone who comes in and fits along a caliber player like Sean Abayev, who's going to go out there and score with 2 point guards like Jizzle and Dede, who both can go create shots for themselves, create plays as well in that front.
The Kenyon segment is sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. So one thing I want to say is when going out and looking in the portal, getting these players, and we've got a new general manager, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are the responsibilities of that general manager, fellas? What's that general manager's like duties?
I'll throw it over to JT.
Oh, yeah. So general manager, he's going to be looking at high school players, people in the portal, international people. So, he's going to be the person that helps construct, make sure they have the money to be able to pay these players. We don't overload on players that don't fit. They're going to help the Bearcat coaching staff make sure that they, place it together. So it's pretty much like now they're baby NBA teams right now.
Yep. Bingo.
You know what I mean? So that's
Yep.
what the GM's going to do. And, they're going to have, I'm pretty sure they have big boards now and everything like that. It's just about the portal. That's where they're at right now.
Okay. So thank you for clarifying that. So you look at next year's team and the construction of next year's team. You've got a guy, and it's Corey Evans, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
You've got a guy in Corey Evans that will help the staff construct that. And that's going to be crucial because we all know this is Wes Miller's kind of last opportunity. He has to be successful.
Yeah.
And if you really think about it, he's going to have to be successful with a completely reconstructed roster. Now, you're going to have some of the same pieces from last year and the Jizzles, the Day-Days like that, but you're pretty much putting together a whole new roster. So that's a lot of pressure. And having somebody that can help construct that is good because you look at the Florida Gators. I keep going back to the Florida Gators team, but you go and look at them. Let's look at their starting lineup the other night. And if we look at rankings and stars, so you got Walter Clayton in a 0-star, Elijah Martin was a 0-star, Will Richard 3-star. I can go down the line. There's no 5-star, but they're just great fits. They're great fits. They're tough guys. They fit that style of play. And I personally feel if Wes Miller, Corey Evans, and the entire staff, Chad Dollar, Dre Morgan, and that whole crew decide, hey, this is our style of play. This is how not only can we be successful in the Big 12, but then that successful play in the Big 12 will carry over to the NCAA tournament, and we can make a deep run. Because we all know, you make a deep run NCAA tournament, it changes to the trajectory of your program in a lot of ways. You know, you see Florida win last night. All of a sudden, they got $500,000 more dollars in NIL money.
Yeah.
Right? So things like that happen. Now you've got all these recruits that want to go to Florida that maybe they were trying to get guys before and they weren't really sniffing them because last year Florida loses in the first round to Colorado. Right, Neil?
Yep.
First round they lose, and now they're national champions. So it changes up everything. Now, do I think the Bearcats can flip that script and be successful next year? Yes, because we've seen it. We've seen it with Florida, reconstructing their roster. We've seen it with Louisville. Pat Kelsey did a great job. Obviously, they didn't go as far in the NCAA tournament as they hoped, but we saw it there. Who's the other team we've seen it with? Neil, help me out. Who came in with a completely reconstructed roster this year?
Florida came in. Louisville came in.
I said that.
Kentucky had it.
Kentucky. There you go.
They had a rebuild. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole roster was like pure turnover because Coach Cal, you know. And you could damn near say Arkansas too.
There you go. So yeah. it can be done. It really can be done. My personal opinion, I would love to, like you said, get that back to the basket, player.
Yeah.
It could be an Eric Hicks type dude like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm cool with that. And I don't know who's going to run point, but that point guard is going to have to be that vocal leader, going to be that alpha, going to have to be that dog. Yeah. Period. Be the I think with those things, I think this basketball team can be successful. How successful? That we'll see. Also, I would love to see a former player on staff like a James White, a Dermar Johnson type of player who played in the league, played at a high level, players can talk to, but even more importantly, can deal with skill development. You look at James White right now.
Yeah.
I talk to James White all the time still, and he's in the NBA. He works with the Timberwolves. Well, you can say a lot of, I wouldn't say all of, but there's a large part of Anthony Edwards' game that has improved due to the work with James White.
Yeah.
Right? Dermar Johnson is a skills guy. And I just think that checks a huge box. So I don't know how the staff is going to be constructed next year or what's going to happen, but I would love to see a Dermar, a James White type of former player involved on the staff. And also, too, like on the staff, I'm looking perfect world type of things. I think we got to have a person on staff that almost is that offensive coordinator that, brains behind the operations. And not that Wes can't do that, but I think it's good. It's just so much to manage in a game.
Yeah.
Like Zach Taylor gets criticized, as the Bengals coach of also being an offensive coordinator and doing all this stuff. They're like, you need to have somebody. And I feel like that'd be a great thing. I know if I was a college coach, I would want to have an offensive coordinator on my bench to help me construct and think of things. So I think with all those things, it's college basketball now, man. I got high hopes that they can bring in all these guys and kind of change things around. So those are some of my keys for next season. Any thoughts? Anything guys want to add to that?
Yeah, man. Nah, it's got to get like you said. Don't worry about the stars. Just people that fit what they want to do. Tell the GM, give them input, and go from there, man. Because this is a very, very big year for the Bearcats.
This is right. This is the big year. The Kenyon segment Keys of the Game was sponsored by Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota. Come see fellow Bearcat Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota for all your new and pre-owned Toyota needs. Look for Greg Hooden on Instagram and Twitter at Cincy Greg Hooden. Hooden is spelled Hoodin. Or come see Greg at Beachmont Toyota. Always ready to help our Bearcat family get into a new Toyota. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. This is where we cover hot topics. So what I want to do for this quickly, fellas, let's go through early 2025, 2026 predictions for this Bearcat basketball team. Obviously, a lot still has to happen, but what's your confidence level? I just talked a little bit about my confidence level on things kind of changing around. JT, we'll start with you, then we'll go to you, Neil. What are your thoughts on things changing around, potentially the Bearcats making the tourney, and will Wes Miller be the coach of the Bearcats after next season?
Man, yeah, he gonna do it. I'm rolling with it.
I love it.
Yeah, he gonna do it. He gonna make it happen. Got to. He knows. Backs into wall. I think he's about to give the Bearcats fans his best effort, and then next year everybody will be like, all right, we more on the boat. More glass half full than glass half empty. So,
yep,
I think it happens. Has to, got to, man. I just think West gonna make it happen. That's what I'm rolling with.
Love it.
Yep. I'll say the same thing. I do think Wes Miller turns this program back around, and on top of it, I also predictions for next year. I'm gonna go with Sean Abayev being a first-round draft pick, first one since Jacob Evans.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is obviously you look at the accolades, you've seen what he's been able to do. It's good to have somebody like that coming to Cincinnati and putting on that red and black jersey, red and white jersey, whatever color it might be. But it's good to have that and see, hey, I don't have to go to a big time school in order to be a potential one and done. I can do it at some of these other schools that you usually don't see Power 5 players go into these 5-stars. Go to these other 5-star programs, right? Duke, North Carolina, whatever it might be. Sean Abayev taking the additional route to come to Cincinnati to play for Wes Miller shows that if things go well next season, that you can come to Cincinnati and be developed and still get to the end goal of the NBA.
Okay, little hot take from Neil Meyer. Okay.
All right.
The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. Listen, sports has a short menu, wins and losses. Bearcats have to win this coming season. Same boat as you guys. I think everyone's rooting. I think everybody likes Wes. Wes is a likable person.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is a business.
Yeah.
Whether you're a nice guy and people like you, do you take care of your business? And taking care of your business is winning basketball games, and that's the business they're in. I have a lot of faith that they will get it done. Uphill battle right now. All the things that I've kind of mentioned before, I would love to see come to fruition in terms of the players they get. They got to figure out this roster. I hope this Corey Evans guy knows, how to construct a team that could be successful in the Big 12. Now, one thing will be interesting too is how they approach the non-conference schedule this year opposed to last year.
Yep.
Will they make changes? Yeah, very. Now that so when you look at, you're now cutting it down to 18 for conference games, so that leaves 2 on the table. So you can add those 2. Essentially, you can not only add 2, right, to the non-conference, or even like you look at maybe even playing some tougher competition.
For sure, tougher competition or being in a better in-season tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So I'm faithful. I'm not I think we have to be careful too of being so reactionary to things, because you got to think. So the football season ends, and everyone's kind of a little bit upset about how the football season ended with the Bearcats, and then everybody was high on Wes Miller, like he's our savior.
Yeah.
He's our savior.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the conference season, they're like, get this guy out of here. And it's just think about if it was. Think about it, back when Duke hired Coach K. If it was this generation and climate, Coach K would have got fired.
Yeah.
Remember, Duke almost fired Coach K, and if it wasn't for Bobby Knight from IU calling Duke and saying, you are making the biggest mistake if you fire him. And Bobby Knight was right. Duke did not fire him. They kept him. And it changed their whole landscape of basketball at Duke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, and I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that Wes is the next Coach K. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it more from a standpoint of you have to be careful of not giving. You got to give people their time, and if they don't get it done within that window, then they don't get it done. But during that journey of, their window of time, it's like can't completely turn on them. I mean, so I'm still faithful, fellas.
Yeah.
I have faith, and it sounds like you guys do as well.
Yeah.
The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. Visionary Cleaners is a locally owned company by former Bearcat student athletes. They specialize in high-quality commercial cleaning of businesses, apartments, and pre- and post-construction cleans. They can be reached at 513-388-7816 or contacted online at visionarycleaners.com. Fellas, this concludes another great podcast and another great season. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Donahoe Accounting Services, Smart Dog Solutions, Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota, Visionary Cleaners, Purple Monkey Project, and Oakley Greens. Thanks again, sponsors, for coming aboard. I think we've got big plans. We'll be back next season. We currently have 6 sponsors. We'd like to get a couple more sponsors on in. We've got some things I think we're going to talk about how to expand the podcast. Some things from this past season, fellas, before we sign off. Any highlights from this past season, Neil?
Skullduggery.
You didn't even think about it.
Skullduggery. Coming to America is worth a B.
What? Oh,
Coming to America is worth a B.
I'm gonna smack you. I'm just gonna walk up to you, Neil, and I'm gonna smack you. And people are gonna be like, did he just smack Neil? And I'll say he gave Coming to America B, and then those people they'll smack you.
Yeah.
It'll just be a community just smacking you.
Yeah.
JT, anything on your end?
The money yachties, JT.
Money yachties always, man. Money yachties forever. Shout out to Master P, man. New GM at New Orleans.
I heard he got a player that's like 27.
Yeah, he's like an old tattoo artist or something. That's why.
Hey, man, that New Orleans team's gonna be. It's gonna be like the old No Limit roster.
That's gonna be lit.
They're gonna have Skullduggery's son playing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Have the Master P. Skullduggery's son playing me crazy. Oh man. Yeah, come out to one of his verses. But let's see. No, maybe not.
Kubo.
Let's see. What's maybe like that one was a good one. I'll say like us giving Neil tasks like you need to watch Cujo. He watched Coming to America and still failed. How you do that?
Big time.
Failed. That was good. That was great. Name game, and then I'll say like just when I started the hygiene part. That was,
hey, one more too on our end. Our podcast with Corey Blunt and the Blunt Wine.
Can't forget the Blunt Wine.
You're right, man. We was on a run too for a minute too.
Man,
shout out to Corey, man.
Yeah, the Blunt Wine. But by the way, too, that podcast we did, Oakley Greens, is just having Corey there, man. He just he's got so many stories, great perspective.
When that kid called Corey 5'7".
Oh yeah. Those 2 kids, when we were doing the podcast, just like rolled up to the front where we were doing the podcast. So our like that's like looking at us like, what are you guys doing? Yeah, we need to incorporate Corey a little bit more next year.
For sure.
like to get him on our actual pod a couple more times.
That'd be dope.
Yeah,
That'd be dope. I'm all game for that.
okay. We'll definitely do it. We're gonna do a couple more live episodes at Oakley Greens next year.
That'd be dope. I'm down with that.
I'm down.
Yeah, totally cool place, man. Shout out to my guy Josh at Oakley Greens.
Yeah.
We can't forget this, man. The interview series. You know, Cole was awesome.
Cole was cooking that night too.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. He was.
He's funny. He's a funny kid. Shout out to Andre Morgan for coming on the pod, and Josh Reed.
Yeah,
Josh Reed was on the pod. So a couple great highlights, and I want to thank you guys, man. I always enjoy us doing the pod. Most people don't know that we usually do the pod late in the evenings because of our schedule. JT's kids, his kids' games and work, and Neil's coaching and he's working, and Neil has to get up early in the morning sometimes to go to work, and he's sacrificing that to talk on the pod. So you guys sacrifice a lot to to do this. So I enjoy working with you guys, and looking forward to next year, man. Bigger and better.
Yeah, for sure, man. Keep rolling, keep the momentum going, man. And those people that want to be a part of the podcast, those businesses that want to sponsor, feel free to reach out to me, Neil, or Meach, man. We definitely want you guys to be a part of what's going on. We appreciate our sponsors currently as well. Hopefully you guys want to be a part of this moving forward as well. But yeah, if you guys want to jump in, feel free to reach out to us, man. We will listen. We will, feel free to be a part of this positive Bearcat podcast, man.
Yep, I love that. The positive.
Yep.
Positive Bearcat podcast.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, this is for the last time for this season. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services, a leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online DonahueAccountingService.com. Thanks for listening to our last episode of the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast for this season, presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Go Bearcats.